Okay, hello everyone. Today we are analyzing in this first episode of Fischer Friday the first game by Bobby Fischer when he was 12 years old at the US Junior Chess Championship. I'm going to follow the order of this excellent book, which is a collection of all of Fischer's series recorded games and then some. Like, it even has some blitz games, simuls, everything. But we will look at the tournament games. Like, at the beginning, at least, I want to make the series about the tournament series tournament games, and that's going to take a while anyway. Like, there are hundreds of those, and we're going to start from the very beginning. So, game number 1 of that collection is Wagner against, Bobby Fischer against Wagner. Wagner has the black pieces, as you can see. Fischer had white. He started with e4. As he always said, best by test. Even when he was 12 years old, he already adhered to that philosophy, apparently. So, in case you are not familiar with this move, I'm going to explain this as best as I can to all audiences. So my content is mainly targeted to beginner players. So I'm going to explain even the most basic of moves. So e4 controls the center and occupies the center. You put a pawn right in the middle of the board, and you're controlling these two squares. Now, what's important about the center is that that's where pieces are most mobile. So that's why you would like to control the center, because if you can prevent your opponent's pieces from being there and also allow your own to be there, then you're going to have an advantage in mobility, and that's going to be a great thing in any game, of course. Now, c5 was the reply by the opponent. This is a Sicilian. The Sicilian defense is leads to imbalanced positions from the very beginning. That's why many people play this. It is the most popular, pretty much, like one of the two most popular moves to answer against e4. The other one is the most logical, e5, where black is also taking a share of the center, replying in a symmetrical fashion. But here, when a player goes with c5, precisely they want something asymmetrical, because they want imbalances in order to have a chance for a fighting game, potentially. So here, we're also preventing d4. Like, that's the purpose of e5. Like, if you play e5 here, what you want is for white not to be able to place this pawn in the middle of the board, because otherwise, if white starts with e4, they want to place the other pawn here, right, and control the whole thing. But and if they start with like d4, same, they would like to play e4. That's why after any of those moves, black's best replies deal with the positional threat of white occupying the whole center and controlling everything. So e5 would control d4, so d4 can't be played for free. And c5 does the same thing, only from the flank. It's a flank opening. And after knight f3, white is developing a piece, which is a great thing in the opening, and also controlling some center squares. So again, always with an eye towards the center. There's like knight f3 is a move that's going to be good in pretty much any position for white in the opening. Like, most of the time, white goes knight f3. There are exceptions, but it's played early because it's one of the pieces that you can know where it belongs earlier in the game. Like about other pieces, like the bishop, you usually want to wait to see what your opponent is going to do, to see where you're going to end up putting that piece for most value. But with the knight, you pretty much know that on knight of 3 will be a great move. That's why early on it gets played often. Now knight c6 also develops a piece and prepares knight f6. How so? Because if knight f6 right away, then that runs into e5. This pawn advances, and now the knight starts getting kicked around. And so knight c6 prepares it. Now you might say, like, wait, what? Like, if you play knight f6 now, then I can still play e5 because it's protected by the knight. Yes, but the point is that the knight would go here, for instance, and then actually black has an advantage. Like if the knight goes here and white tries this, like if right now black were able to play another move and were able to do this, then after this black would be better, actually, targeting this pawn twice. And so this move prepares knight f6 and also develops a piece with an eye towards the center. Now d4, this leading to the open Sicilian. That's considered the continuation. That's the most testing in any Sicilian. Is for white to go for the open variations. Open because precisely the center opens up. We don't keep everything locked up like with d3 or something like where there are no pawn breaks immediately. Like in this case, everything gets opened up after cd4. Obviously, this pawn went here with the intent of not allowing this pawn to occupy the center, so black will take. And after black takes and white takes over here, then white enjoys a space advantage since this knight is temporarily placed in the middle of the board, and at the same time white has open lines, and black has also the open c file, which is another of the ideas when playing the Sicilian. Like in the open Sicilian, which is the most testing continuation in most variations, then the black gets the open file here, and that's going to be good for their counterplay. Like they're going to put like a rook over here and get some activity on that file. So cd4 naturally, like that's why the pawn went here, and knight d4. After that, knight f6, and knight f6 is targeting the e4 pawn, so knight c3 is the most common reply, defending and developing another piece. And then d6 happened, and d6 is the classical variation, I mean the so-called classical variation, for lack of a better name, as they say in any opening book, pretty much. So it's called this because they didn't have another name for it, and it has been played a lot in especially in the old times, and it is one of black's soundest Sicilians. And so d6 is a flexible move. It keeps black with a lot of options still, not committing too much, and that's about it. Like when what I read in the opening encyclopedias was about that. They don't tell you much more about this. It is a very sound opening. It was played a lot in old times. The move bishop g5 and this Sicilian variation gains in strength, as mentioned by Shankland. But like compared to the knight, or for instance, like bishop g5 against this with a knight on c6 is a little bit stronger. And that's like here. Well, you can't see the engine lines here. I have them on the side because otherwise it would occupy a lot of screen. So, but the top two moves I can tell you that the computer is giving here are bishop g5 and bishop c4, and those are the ones that are considered the most testing from what I read from Modern Chess Openings as well, which is this book I have right here, Modern Chess Openings. So it's another opening encyclopedia. So I consulted this, and I consulted Fundamental Chess Openings for bringing you the information about the opening part of the game. So then bishop b2 was played, which is not one of the most testing continuations. Again, the most testing would be bishop g5 or bishop c4. Bishop b2 is okay, but it's an old line. Like it used to be the old main line, I believe. Of course, we're also looking at a relatively old game. This is again from 1955, but yeah, bishop e2 used to be played, and simply develops a piece, basically, not much more. Of course, also you could say that if you played like bishop e3 right away, maybe you run into this move, knight g4 over here, hitting the bishop. Now, in this case, with the bishop over here, obviously that would be just a free piece. But I mean, not actually, it wouldn't be free, because this, and this. Yeah. Anyway, like. Oh no, I'm just trying to figure out things on the fly there. Like bishop e2, like just a developing move. Think about it like that. And black has options here. In the game, they went g6, the dragon. But they could have gone e5. In fact, after bishop e2, the book that I showed you, Modern Chess Openings, only gives 2 lines there, I believe. And they say that bishop e2 is just not worth going into too much, because after e5, the Boleslavsky variation, which we are looking at now, which didn't happen in the game with this move e5, then black equalizes almost immediately. That's what they said. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's almost word by word. So that's why they didn't really go into it. In the game, however, they did play g6, which is another one of the top engine moves here. And in Fundamental Chess Openings, which is this other book I consulted for the opening phase of the game, this one. And I do recommend this book a lot, especially if you're a beginner or intermediate player. I think having an opening encyclopedia like this one can be really helpful. And anything from Gambit Publications, I find that it's really good. And no, they don't pay me, obviously, for making any publicity, but really, like John Nunn, I think is I'm not sure if like I mean, he has a high position in the company. I don't know if he's the owner or something, like. But yeah, I mean, he's a great chess player, and the quality of the books is really great. So Fundamental Chess Openings goes into the reason I recommend it is that it goes into the ideas of the openings, which I think is the most important thing for a beginner and intermediate player to learn. Well, for any player to learn, but I mean, players beyond that level, they already know the ideas. But I mean, or should know the ideas. but the thing is that yeah, I mean, the most important is to know the ideas, not to know like specific lines a lot. So this one deals with that. It gives you ideas, a little bit of history too. It's rather interesting. But anyway, let's go back to the topic at hand. So in this book, Fundamental Chess Openings, they said that g6 is a natural reply because bishop e2 is not the most testing against the dragon. So it makes sense to go into a dragon versus this. So bishop e3 got played. Now this develops another piece, reinforces the knight over here. And again, like this move will not be played in this variation, because that's just straight up loses a knight. There are 2 defenders over here, which is why this move bishop e2 comes in handy before, because otherwise in a lot of lines black can go over here, and that is rather annoying when they are going after the bishop that was just developed. And the bishop pair is usually not an advantage that you want to give away, especially if you're if the center is open. Like in this one, like we're playing an open game, usually the bishops really shine there. If the position is rather closed, then if everything is locked up in terms of pawns, the knights may prove more powerful. So bishop g7, fianchettoing the bishop, obviously that's the idea behind playing g6. And here, I believe the main line is castles. That's why they give, like, in a parentheses in the Hayes book, the book, the collection that we're following. But in the game, f3 was played, which is a fine move. It's perfectly fine. The computer now gives pretty much complete equality. Like, it just says 0, 0, 0, basically. And now the move was castles. Castles, queen d2. So in a lot of these dragons, what white wants to do is they want to maybe play over here and trade this dark squared bishop, which otherwise stands very strong on the diagonal. And so that's why they formed this battery. And also by moving the queen, then they are preparing long castles, as happens in the game. And it's very common to get this plan in the dragon of castling long and then starting to push these pawns over here and go for a pawn storm against the king and try to attack over there, whereas black tries to attack the king on this other side of the board, on the queen side. Hello, Myth, how are you? Thanks for tuning in and thanks for subscribing. We are taking a look at one of Fischer's games, the first one that they have from this collection here. So this is a game from 1955. Fischer was 12 years old, so actually the play wasn't super high level, but it's interesting, like, to go over the games of the masters. So in this position, again, everything is equal at this point. Usually, yeah. I was going to say that I think, yeah, never mind. So yeah, but basically the plans in a lot of dragons is pawn storm over here against the king side after castling long, and black castles short, and then it's just the plan of going who's faster, whose attack is going to succeed, like both attacking each other's kings. And this is pretty much what happened over here. Now, a6 is dubbed an inaccuracy by the engine here, and it is what the opponent played. I'm guessing they didn't want, like, one of these pieces going over here. But the computer thinks this is way too slow and unnecessary. And it thinks that d5 is actually in order here. Like, anything else apparently gives white an advantage. They want d5, which might look a little bit counterintuitive, because we already played d6 a couple of moves ago, and now playing d5, like moving this pawn twice in the opening pretty much. Although we're almost out of the opening, we've developed pretty much anything. I mean, I say we're not black, but I mean, like, from black's perspective, like, so d5 is what the computer wants, and of course, like, this doesn't win a pawn in any way, shape, or form for white. In case you're thinking something like boom, 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 and I don't know, like, I mean, you're thinking something along the lines of takes here, but then the pawn recaptures and then it is protected again. So anyway, I'm just ranting at this point. So yeah, in the game, this is the move that got played. And white went here, long castles. So again, they want to go for this pawn storm over here on the king side, and that's what's going to happen in the game. Now, after this, still the computer wants d5, but now thinks that white still has a pretty significant advantage. He's given 0.7 to white. Let me check a little bit, because that's why I was taking my time there. I was thinking, what exactly does black get after this? Like, let's see. So again, obviously, discovering this is not useful, like by doing this, because the pawn recaptures and this is sufficiently defended again. But what exactly is the idea? Like, it says like rook d1, d4. Yeah, I mean, you probably don't want to have an isolated pawn over here. Like, if you don't take this pawn, then they're going to give you an isolated pawn on this over here. Like, takes, or takes. So yeah, usually an isolated pawn is. I mean, it can be a liability or it can be good. Like pawns in general, isolated pawns, backward pawns, all that kind of stuff is not necessarily bad. Like, but I mean, it requires some care. Like you can prove actually that an isolated pawn is useful if you actually get play with like the open files that you get and stuff. But and the space control it might give you, like in the Amateur's Mind, Silman talks about that. I mean, but in general, I mean, if you talk about it like without considering much about the specific position, like having an isolated pawn maybe not that good. Like, I mean, it is considered a structural weakness. Now, still the computer here gives 0, 0, 0, but I mean, it's different from what happened in the game where white was getting an advantage. So here it gives like castles or rook d1. So let's say castles, just like in the game. I mean, this is not the move that was played in the game, by the way. We're looking at the sideline. And now it says knight d4, trading over here, or d4. So yeah, giving the isolated pawn there. If let's say, yeah, and a lot of pieces are going to fly off the board as well. So let's say that instead we just take over here so that we don't get the isolated pawn. Take over here, knight takes, obviously, knight recaptures, and actually this is this better for black. Knight c6, pc6 makes sense. Now we give them an isolated pawn. And knight d5 or bishop d4. Like, this is now under attack twice, so that we are threatened with something that is pretty much horrible no matter what, which is having isolated double pawns. Like other pawn structures, like the pawn weaknesses can actually be useful in a certain way, but double isolated pawns are pretty much always a problem. So we are threatened with that. We can go bishop d4, preventing that. And then it gives like knight f4. Knight f4. What? Okay, now it's just adjusted and it's not giving that. Like, I was really confused about that. Like, what, knight f4? Like, what the heck? Like, I mean, because, you know, if you're over here and you're just apparently blundering a piece, like, I don't see how that's... Oh, no, you're not blundering a piece, because if you take over here, for instance, then this is hit twice. So actually you can take over here and still be protected like that. So yeah, knight f4 might actually be a move here, but no, it wasn't the top move. The top move was actually e5, bishop d4 also, just trading simply. Actually, bishop d4, queen d4, and then e5? What? What is that? Like, maybe the rook comes into the middle. Let me look at that. Like, bishop d4, queen d4, and then it says e5. e5. That's rather interesting. Now you can't take. Actually, if you take, you're basically losing. Yeah, yeah. There's okay. That's rather interesting. Like if you take here, that's a mistake because bishop a6. Like bishop a6 is a pretty powerful move. Like I mean, if they take over here, then what you're doing is you're pinning the queen to the king immediately, and it's GG's. And if you don't take, then you're still threatened with this. You're still threatened with that because like if the bishop takes over here and you recapture any, I mean, if this goes over here and then you move the queen away, then this over here is getting hit. Like let's say you castled, for instance, then after the queen moves, then there's only this actually, and you can start even like that potentially. But I mean, like, yeah, it's horrible on many levels. Well, you can't start like that because if you castle this way, then this would be hit. But the point is that after the queen moves, then this would also be hit. So the thing about the pin over here, the threat of the pin, is pretty strong there. I mean, I think that's the idea. I mean, it has to be the idea, but I didn't really check it. Meaning I didn't plug it into the engine now, as you can see. I plugged it until here. So, interesting line. Anyway, I went over this tangent line. Sorry if that is annoying, but yeah, I mean, I'm going here not trying to just explain to people this game, but actually I'm trying to understand it myself, and at the same time trying to explain what my understanding of the game is, which may be flawed given my level, but I mean I'm trying my best. So long castles, and it's a good exercise to go over games of Masters, which is why I'm doing this basically. Apart from the fact that it's fun, but it is a good exercise. And of course, whoever's watching can give their opinions on any particular move, and that will be more than welcome. So in this position, Black, according to the computer, they should play like bishop d7, developing a piece, or d5 again. They have some moves, even knight d4 actually, which in general is not considered like a great thing here. Like, of course, all these moves still give white a significant advantage. There's just no way around it at this point for black, because they play the slow move here, which is something interesting, that in these positions where you have the queenside counterplay with opposite side castling, like king castle over here and white's king castle over there, what happens is that if you play a slow move, that can leave you at a significant disadvantage. Like, you have to be fast. Like here, the speed matters. Like if you play passive moves that you didn't need, then your opponent is just using that to blast you completely on the other side of the board. So that's a thing with these kinds of openings. It is risky. Now, Queen A5 was played, which was already a mistake. Like the previous move, the computer labeled like an inaccuracy. This one just outright a mistake. Like black is trying to start some of that queenside counterplay, but this wasn't the way to go around it. Here, Fischer should have played knight b3. That would have been the most testing continuation. Hitting the queen right away, the queen can't stay here, and it either has to retreat all the way back, I mean, or over here or something, or it has to go to a square like e5 over here. But I mean, it's just like the queen gets kicked around, and what looked like they were about to start some queenside counterplay, like this move might look threatening to beginner intermediate players like us, but actually, after knight b3, like there's just nothing there. Instead, Fischer played king b1, which is a perfectly fine move too. It's very usual to play this move when you castle long, because when you castle short, your king is already covering everything here. But when you castle long, then you have this pawn over here, which is beyond its reach. So like right now, it's protected by the knight, but it helps keeping the structure very solid to go over here and have eyes on everything. Otherwise, at some point, this defender might be removed, and then, you know, they can enter over here or something. So, rook d8 was played, putting the rook on this semi-open file where the queen is. I mean, it's semi-open for white. It's not semi-open for black. Like a semi-open file is when there's a pawn of the opposite side there. Like there are pawns of the opposite side, but there are no pawns of yours. A completely open file is a file where there are no pawns of either side on it. Like, why is that important? Because if you have a rook on a rook or a queen on a semi-open file like this one, then you're targeting stuff from the opponent. Like you just have eyes on the opponent's pieces right away. You're not blocked by your own pieces. Like if this knight ever moves, then I mean you can move the knight, and then you have this pressure. But if you had a pawn of your own, then the pawn cannot move. So if you put a rook there, it's like okay, like I mean not bad, but like this rook is adding a defense to this and perhaps supporting this push in the future, but it's not. It doesn't have eyes on the enemy directly. But I mean, rook d8 was a good move. It does activate the rook, and it's a good move. Now, g4 was played. What was I put here? Yeah, knight b3 again would have been the most testing here. But g4 was played, which was also fine. But I mean, it gives up a huge chunk of the advantage that Fischer had here. b5. You mean b5 by black here instead of rook d8, or after g4? b5. Let's see what a computer says about playing b5 here. No, actually, never mind. There's a knight hanging if you push b5. Maybe you meant another move. Like you probably didn't mean this one. Yeah, this knight is currently supported by the b pawn. Like I mean, if you meant this one, then yeah, the knight is supported by the b pawn. So yeah, you definitely cannot play b5. But maybe you didn't mean there. Like, sorry if you meant in another part of the sequence. If so, just let me know. And also, welcome to the channel, and thanks for tuning in and subscribing. So g4 was played here by white. Again, like they are going for this pawn storm against the enemy king, like usual plan. And the knights get traded over here. Bishop e6 now. Now there is some pressure over here. Again, this is currently protected by the knight and by the king. But if this defender were removed at any point, then this would actually be a thing. Queen e3 was played, which I don't know why the computer gives it a mistake here, because actually before it's giving it as one of the top moves. So okay, like I mean, maybe not the most popular, but also it doesn't seem to be really a bad move. Well, Queen e3 was played. This has a very direct threat, but I mean, let's not forget that this was 12-year-old Fischer. So this wasn't the Fischer that won the world championship. This is Fischer just getting started, and so I mean, this has a very obvious threat, which is going over here, and then you know, if black does nothing, then you go over here and you're winning an exchange, because you're forking queen and rook. Obviously, you don't want to give away the queen, so you would move this queen somewhere, and then you would lose the exchange. Like you would lose a rook for a bishop, which is in general not considered good. But I mean, that's just thinking that your opponent is going to allow that is hope chess. They are not going to allow that. They're going to play something that disallows it. And they went knight d7, which is 97 is disallowing it because it covers the square. And also they are offering to trade this bishop for this one. Actually, the computer doesn't like that, like, because first of all, white can even make the trade. I mean, in general, getting rid of the powerful dragon bishop is a good thing, but there's even stronger than that. Like, the computer just wants h4 and like keep going for the attack over here. Instead of this, to deal with a threat, it was recommending rook dc8. So moving this rook here, so this no longer is attacking two things, and then you can just move the queen, and this is absolutely nothing. In fact, you don't even need to move the queen probably. Maybe after this, perhaps if this, and perhaps, like, could be a thing. Because, I mean, if bishop takes over here, then you're taking the queen over there. So let's say pawn takes over here, because if you take with the queen, then this again. So if you take it with the queen, actually this, never mind. So yeah, after rook dc8, I mean, this move would be absolutely dreadful and probably losing. Because of that, I think you just take over here. Let's check that just in case. Like here, let's say white is oblivious to what's happening and goes over here. Yeah, rook c3 is the top move, so I was right about that. And is winning. Because again, like, if you take the queen, then congratulations, you just lost material. And if you decide that you're going to take this rook, like, if you take it with a pawn, that's horrendous. You're already opening up the king, and if you take it with a queen, it's even more horrendous because you're dropping a piece. So 97 was what's played in the game again, and it's defending from the obvious fork. And f4 by Fischer, which is okay. Like, it's alright. Another move could have been h4. Like, they're continuing with the pawn storm. And now black just trades the bishop. Maybe they got nervous or something. They just went for the trade of the bishops. Again, the computer likes black being a little bit more active and going for something like rook ac8 or rook dc8, and starting using those open lines to get to the enemy king. Instead, they traded one of the most powerful pieces that they have, and here white is just winning. Like, they have a great position. They got rid of black's powerful bishop, and there's absolutely nothing brewing over here. Like, against this king, there's nothing going on, and the pawn storm has already started. Now knight f6. Knight f6, I'm guessing, is trying to, see if the opponent doesn't see it, then you can take this. And also, like, the knight went over here to guard against the threat of the bishop forking. Now there's no bishop to fork over here, so they are like, okay, I can go back to this post. But actually that allows g5 with tempo, first of all. Like, I mean, this move that was already a part of the pawn storm, now it comes with a tempo. But even stronger than that would be f5. f5 hitting this bishop. The bishop has to retreat to d7, and yeah, the pawn storm is just gaining in strength. And that is what happened in the game, isn't it? Yeah, that happened in the game. Bishop went over here. Now h4. The computer says it's a miss, but it still labels it as completely winning for white. But stronger would be g5. Like, g5 was the crushing way to go. Like, here the computer is giving 3.6 advantage. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, white material is temporarily equal, but white is just absolutely crushing here. Like, if the knight goes over here, then boom, king already gets opened up. Like, good luck. You have the pawns arriving there. You have, the rooks coming over here. The queen staring over there. It's just is just horrendous. Like white just obviously won the race by far, and black hasn't started anything against this king, like absolutely anything. The queen is in front of this pawn, like this pawn hasn't even started advancing with anything. The rooks are not staring at the king, like it's just it's pretty obvious to see that white is much better here. Instead, h4 was played, which still is okay, but it's not as crushing. Bishop went over here. Like black probably started getting a little bit nervous about the situation and said, well, let's try to trade some of these pieces. And the bishop went to f3. Like naturally you don't want to take over here, because if you take over here, then you're allowing the opponent to all of a sudden start getting something. Like this would open up significant pressure over here. But so bishop f3 was played. That was right. And also, by the way, this bishop is protecting that. Bishop went here. Now rook c8 finally. Rook a c8, and Fischer traded over here, which the computer considers inaccurate again, but still, like white still is much better. Like that's how big the advantage was, that even after this, white is still much better. But again, like this is about speed, a lot about speed. It is, in my opinion, somewhat hard to understand these positions. I mean, not to understand, but to play as a beginner. Like you understand the concept. Like the concept is attack. Like you have to attack, basically. But so in that sense, they are very easy to understand. But to play, I think they are rather hard for amateurs. Like personally, I find that in these positions, both a lot of times, both me and my opponents make a lot of mistakes too, because it's hard to understand when you have to defend against your opponent's threats, and when you're just seeing ghosts and you actually have to continue, pushing so that you get that breakthrough first. So here it was a moment where it was the moment for g5, even e5. Like e5 looks incredible, to be honest, because I mean after this opens up, then your queen is staring at that, and you're not getting two rooks for the queen because the rook is protected by the queen over here. So d5, queen e5, obviously getting away from the attack and also regaining the material. Now this is pinning the bishop to the queen, by the way. Like if this bishop moves right away, then just loses the queen in the game of the spot. So, and also putting pressure on this. So yeah, interesting. Like interesting that e5 was also a thing there. Like all of a sudden, like you were basically striking over here with the pawns, and all of a sudden this pawn push in the middle of the board. Like rather interesting concept. Now this is what was played, and this the computer labels as an inaccuracy, but it's not really bad. Like I mean, black actually, I think because of this is that black did well in this game, because now they get an open file. Like now they have something over here, which before they didn't. And also remember this knight, which was a crucial defender, got traded off. So now if a rook comes over here, there is something really necessary to deal with. And that's what happened basically. Let me spoil you a little bit of the game, and that's where Fischer malfunctioned here. So in this position, again g5, like kicking this knight was like the way to go. And it's not really a hard move to see. Like I mean, if the knight goes over here, again you're opening up the king, which is what you want. And if the knight goes anywhere else, I mean, you are pushing with the pawns, so you're getting what you want. Other than that, fg6, that's like the top move. Again, you're opening lines. And that's basically the gist of it, like pushing pawns. Now, out of all the pawn moves that white could have done here, they did the wrong one. Like even e5 still is a thing here. And but instead they pushed there, and this the computer didn't like because of what happened in the game. Rook c4. Rook c4, and black is already getting something. Like this gave all of a sudden black has some initiative of some sort. Rook c4, queen goes over here, and the other rook goes there. Only move to not be basically losing, by the way. I mean, any other move and they would be like a white would be at least at a 1 point advantage, which is not like a huge advantage, but I mean, not a huge winning advantage, but it is a huge advantage. It's a pretty big one. So obvious threat is checkmate. Like now the knight is no longer over here, and even if it were here, like I mean, there would be something like this first and then this. I mean, it's not checkmate. Sorry, it's not checkmate because the king can go over here. But I mean, it's looking nasty. Like you take this pawn, the king goes over here. Like king starts running away, and when material starts to fall and the opponent's pieces start infiltrating, that's absolutely no good news. So Fischer played a3. Obviously, the only move to not be completely dead lost. And black already messed up by going here, and now white is winning. So again, like in these positions, it's really hard to find the right continuation. The only move here for black to be winning, I mean not winning, sorry, to not be losing. The only move in this position for black to not be losing was. You can try to guess if you want in the chat, if you're around here. If you don't, then well, I'll just say it. But it's not really hard to find. Like the move now is b4. B4, and again you're bringing back all that pressure. Like if pawn takes, then good luck. That's checkmate. So yeah, better luck next time. And otherwise, like you're just threatening with everything. You're about to open that king up, and you have all your heavy pieces over there. So, but yeah, actually after b4, it's not that easy to handle this from white's perspective, I think, even though white is completely winning. But I mean, they would have to play accurately, like b4, and they have to go queen b3 pretty much. Now they have a couple of other moves actually. They can just ignore this and play hg6. But I mean, the top move is queen b3, which is also hitting that. And as per usual, like an active defense is the way to go instead of something that's a little bit more passive. So in this position, queen a4 was mistaken, and now like basically like this is again, this is 12-year-old Fischer, and I suppose his opponent wasn't that strong either at that time. So this is a very obvious threat of going here, and you can't like push over here, because if you try to do something like this and say, oh, I have a fork, yeah, good luck, you're forking, but you're also about to get mated, and also you're not even getting that, because after this, then if you take that, then that was pinned to the queen. So yeah, I mean, this might look immediately like a fork. I guess a lot of beginners would lose the game on the spot by doing this and going here without looking in advance, and then boom, this gets pinned, and this, and yeah, it's time to resign immediately. But the top move here is queen c1. Like the top move defending against this is simply queen c1, which to me looks kind of nuts. I mean, to think that this move is 2 points of advantage for white is kind of nuts. First of all, there are lots of attackers on this pawn over here. But but there's a thing. After this, like if you don't do anything, then this is actually a fork. Because I mean, if the queen takes over here, you first take the queen and then you take the rook. And then there's no mate, there's no anything here. So c3 was played. I mean, queen c1 maybe looked too passive. I guess Fischer even at that time didn't like that. Rook h2 was another way of defending this. This probably looks much more natural to me. Like playing rook h2, I can see myself perfectly doing that in a game. Although, yeah, probably what he didn't like is that. No, but actually, when you do that, it's the same. You're still like, yeah, I don't know why he would go here. But the point of why this move is bad is that it weakens the light squares. Like weakens the light squares around the king, and that's what black took advantage of immediately, I believe. No, should have taken advantage of it immediately. They should have gone queen b3 here. They should have gone queen b3. And after queen b3, they are actually threatening to straight up take this pawn and get on over here. Because if you go queen b3, then you're pinning this one. So you're threatening that one. And it's not really easy to defend, not to say that it's like how on earth do you defend against that. Like honestly, queen b3 here would be completely devastating. But the computer thinks that white is holding. Like, let me see how. Because, yeah, this looks, wow. This looks horrible. Like rook d4. Rook d4. Okay, rook d4. Rook a3, obviously. And then rook c4. And let's say you take with a pawn, for instance. Yeah, that's what you take with. Because otherwise you're losing a rook. Because this pin is only here because there's a queen. And hg6. Like, okay, has to go for this counterplay and ignore completely like this and just moves away. Wow, like hg6 only move. Like, yeah, but this like if black has gone for this, I think they pretty much would have the game in the bag, because it's I don't think it's that easy to find. Like given the inaccuracies that this game had before, I don't think they were the right continuation would have been found by Fischer if black played accurately there. And it didn't seem like such a difficult move to find. Instead, they went here. They went for like oh, free pawn. I like that. And actually, it's not a free pawn, and now white is winning, like over 2 points of advantage. By the computer completely winning, but instead white also didn't see it and went bishop e4, which still gives a huge advantage, but it's the common mistake of beginners of whenever like there are trades that are offered, then okay, let's trade, and it's not the way. Like you can see here that even masters fall for that. I mean, at this point Fischer was probably not the master, but I mean even future world champions and potential greatest of all times are making those mistakes at some point in their career. So, which isn't surprising. Like, I mean, yeah, everyone makes every mistake pretty much. So rook c1 actually was like the strongest move here. Again, not that easy to see because it looks like sort of like a passive move. I mean, I guess one of the important points about this is that it relieves the queen of the defense of this, because otherwise this could be a thing in the future. So I'm guessing that's one of the points. And another point probably that it's sort of keeping eyes on the weakened king side. But, and also another move that would be really strong would be rook d3. So rook d3, you still have to keep guarding that, otherwise this, but yeah, I'm not sure what the idea is behind rook d3, to be honest. Maybe doubling up eventually, I'm not sure. But I mean, if you double up there, then what? I don't know. Actually, he wants rook d3 and then rook e1. So he wants some activation of the rooks somehow. But instead, in the game, this happened. And after this, yeah, let me analyze a little bit more that, because I want to see what's going on here really. Like instead of rook c1, let's go with the second best move, rook d3, because this one I understand less than the first one. Like this one I thought I understood because, you know, like you're getting away from the fork in the future potentially, so that you don't need to keep the queen defending that. But and also like you're defending here, but rook d3, even though it defends that, then still this could be a thing in the future. Now, well, first of all, white is already threatening to open things up. Oh, okay, give me a second. I have to go. Okay. They hung up. So I don't know what's that all about. All right. So let's continue here. So rook d3. Not sure exactly why rook d3. Then okay, g5 is the move they are recommending here, and I sort of understand that because I mean otherwise white is about to open things up here. So maybe you don't want the king to have that here. I'm wondering if maybe, what about, yeah, no. Because the thing about g5 is that after this and this, for instance, you're just getting the pawn back. And also getting a queen in there. So g5. Yeah, bishop b4, rook e4, queen g5 is not even one of the strongest moves, even though it is pretty strong. But rook e1 first. And here he gives d5. What? What the heck is d5? Oh, because actually d5 and you can't like go over here because this sack probably. But then you have to take over here and this, and wow, you're getting smoked. I suppose. Let me see. d5. Man, if you take over here, I'm pretty sure that you get smoked in this way. Let's see. Here. Yeah. I'm not showing the eval here for to not keep the screen relatively small. I should probably set up a scene next time where you see the eval. But this is crazy. Like after this blunder, it just goes like insane. Like the advantage after knight c3, yeah, effectively. So knight c3, and it's actually recommended to just give up the queen immediately. Like if you try this, then you're more than absolutely lost. Queen b3 actually, not queen a3, and yeah, makes sense. Queen b3, then king c1, the only way to avoid getting mated in 1. Otherwise you go over here and then you get ladder mated. So goes over here and then this, and winning a queen at the beginning. Actually, like even if you want to escape with the king or something, like there's nothing to do. Like you go over here and it's again mate in 1, like here, right? Yeah, if you go over here, it's here. So you have to give up the queen, and yeah, well, the rest is history, right? This is even a fork of the bishop. So yeah, absolutely getting smashed if this move. So d5, very interesting move, supporting the knight over here. So always good to have these tactical defenses in under your belt, like moves that look impossible and can still be played. So interesting, like how the situation evolves. I still don't see how white wins from here. Like apparently even bishop e4. Well, bishop e4 and then queen g5, like of course looks promising. But I don't see what's the big difference of doing it now as opposed to before. Like before it wasn't that good and now it's good. Like here. Then king h8. and patience, like not just rook e4, but going over here. So if the rook trades, then you go over here and you're targeting this, I suppose. Actually, you probably don't go over here with a rook, because otherwise, like, queen checks and they might get something with all the checks, I suppose, perhaps, but I'm not sure. Yeah, like if takes, then you take with a queen, yeah. Otherwise, you do start getting checked, and black might have some form of a perpetual or something. Like they do have a way out of there. Yeah, I think they have a perpetual. If you, this is another interesting thing. If they take over here and you take with a rook, I believe they get a perpetual like this, like here, and sacking the rook, I'm pretty sure. And then whatever. Oh no, because actually the pawn can take. Yeah, if the pawn takes, you go over here, and that's perpetual again. Like king has to go over here, and then you just check like this. And if they don't take with the pawn, if they take over here, then this. That's what I was looking at, like here, and that's actually what. Oh, if they take like this, then they're getting this mate. Like, okay, yeah, like yeah, that would be even more dreadful. So like if you take here with a rook, then that's a perpetual check. Like my intuition served me correctly there. Anyway, I will not keep looking at this line because it's not what happened in the game, and we're not getting anywhere really. Like I thought that maybe I would see very fast like what was the winning method, but really it takes a lot of technique there. So this happened, and now white is still borderline winning. But it's not as clear as before. Queen h6 was the wrong move. I don't know what Fischer expected to get from that, to be honest. Because I mean, a queen alone, like even though the dark squares are weak, but the queen alone can do absolutely nothing. Like I'm guessing he was hoping for something like this and this and this, or something where they open up all of this, and all of a sudden their opponent is allowing them to just checkmate, or at the very least, like if they move this pawn and then they go over here, then I don't know, like no, you can't take that because that's predicted. So I don't know, like maybe they were hoping something would happen there along the lines of being able to open this up and get something going, but actually they should have gone like queen d2, which I absolutely don't understand either, but I can see why this move doesn't lead anywhere. That I can see, sort of. Here, rook e2, and now let's see. First of all, there's already a rook on the second rank, which you usually don't want to get your opponent's rook on your second. And secondly, maybe like queen b3, threatening checkmate and threatening this, and things get ugly. Perhaps that's sort of the idea. Like, yeah, this is looking rather ugly for white, and they blundered immediately. Like here, they had only one move to perhaps survive this, which was queen c1. Again, I mean, like, all of a sudden they had to give up all the prospects of the attack over here, and they had to just go over there. So yeah, difficult move to play. Definitely a really difficult move to play. I mean, I say they. I mean, why am I saying they? Like we know who the player was. The player was Fischer, so he had to go here. But usually when I talk about like a game, I talk about white and black, so they don't always have to remember the names of who are the guys playing, and I can just treat white and black as they, I suppose. So that's my justification for that slip over there. So yeah, I mean, not slip, but yeah, for really that's how I sort of think about it. That's how I do it usually. But yeah, queen c1 was the only way to survive this. And yeah, well, it's not that hard to see because otherwise, there's stuff that's going here, that's going on here. And this just straight up blunders. Let me see if I remember I remember the blunder. So if the rook takes over here, I mean, the rook just takes over here, then obviously if you don't want to be down material, you have to recapture. And after that, there is a simple fork over here. So very easy, simple tactic. Again, this was 12-year-old Fischer. So at his age, I wasn't even playing chess. So between blundering this fork and not knowing what en passant is, there's a big difference. So yeah, that happened. Like this could have been one of my games currently. this could have been one of my games. But that's how the game ended. Like queen e4, and he was like like Hikaru says, spaghetti-o time, and that was the first tournament game that we have in this collection of Bobby Fischer. By the way, this is the same collection. And again, I'm not doing any advertisement here. I mean, this nobody pays me. But this collection is the same one that Hans Niemann has. Like, I saw him one day. He was like, "Oh, I went to the bookstore to pick up some chess books." And he bought this book and another book about on Fischer, because I believe it's his favorite chess player. Like Hans Niemann, in case you don't know, he's a super GM. I mean, what they call super GM, that sounds kind of strange when they say super GM. Like what is that? Like dun, 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 But it's but yeah. So when a grandmaster is like over 2700 rating. Elo, they tend to say that they are. I mean, 2700 FIDE. Like they tend to say, "Oh, this guy's a super GM," because it's just the disparity between a guy at that level and the level of a grandmaster who just got the title is so big that they say, "Well, we have to, give another informal title to these guys." Which actually doesn't make much sense. I mean, that they have to get another title. It's like it's like you meet a very an extraordinary doctor, and you say, well, let's call this guy a super doctor or something. Like what? But yeah. Anyway, that was. I'm going over a tangent line there. So yeah, in this position, Fischer resigned. So yeah, maybe not the most interesting game to look at about Fischer, but I mean, I want to go through the games like in order, and I find it interesting though that we are exploring the history of Fischer, like when he started from his early beginnings, when he was just a kid and not playing so great. And second of all, I find this interesting because actually, for an amateur like me, then these positions are interesting to see. Like I like looking at this, looking how they messed up, what could have been done better. I mean, obviously checking everything with the engine to see what the engine's suggesting, so that what could they have done in order to win this at several points, or to save this at several points. And it's very interesting, like this pawn storm theme on opposite sides of the board. Like basically in this game, White had many chances for the win. Fischer had many chances for the win here, and they mostly hindered from what we've seen on going for more direct aggression on the king side, even though he was aggressive. But I mean, he never got to play g5 here when there was even a knight on f6. Like, well, when this the knight going here and the bishop taking and opening this up, like when this was a thing, he didn't do it, and that was the most obvious one. then there were times where he could have just gone like chop chop there, and then there were like more subtle moves that are much harder to miss, I guess, which is when he actually, in order to win, had to go back here or go like defensive in some way because of the opponent's threats, but they were still winning after that. That's a much harder thing to see. I mean, from an amateur's perspective, I mean, at least to me, that's a much harder thing to see. But I mean, the times when he could have gone like G5, that I think was much more to the point of what he could have found somewhat easily. But yeah, it's interesting to me, looking at this game. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below if you're watching this in the future, if you like this kind of thing, if you don't like it, and things that you think that could be done to improve when I try analyzing master games such as this one. Now, unless anyone in the chat wants to like play or do something else, I had actually only prepared this game for this stream, so I don't have any more Fischer games to analyze for today. But yeah, I mean, if you guys like it, I will continue. Or if you don't tell me that you dislike it, then I will continue doing this perhaps every Friday, or every Friday that I stream at least. And yeah, I mean, it's a good way of going over the games of one of the masters, one that I do own a collection of games of. He's the only one that I really have a huge collection of games from. I have a couple of collections of games of other players, but not nearly as comprehensive as those. So, all right. So let me wrap it up here. If nobody wants to play or do puzzles or do anything else, and yeah, thanks to the people that tuned in. Thanks to Myth and Pranav for commenting in the chat and subscribing. And I hope I see you guys around here next time. Take care and bye. I'll probably stream again much later today. Like I usually do a stream now and then again one in the evening. But if you're watching now, you're probably not going to be watching in the evening. But that's usually what I do. So I'll probably be doing that today too. Take care and see you on the next one, hopefully.